Hi, this video is going to show you and tell you about how to use a Slate and Stylus and why it might be important. For people who are blind or visually impaired, the Slate and Stylus is kind of like having a pen and pencil. It's a way to take simple notes, jot down lists, write small things or larger things depending on what you're doing. So this is a slate. A slate is, it could be different sizes, but this one has like 27 cells and it's metal. It is big enough to fit in a piece of Braille paper that's 11 by 11. And then you would also have a stylus. I'm using my tactile graphic stylus right now until I can order a regular stylus, but it is pointy and it has a metal tip, so you have to be careful with that. I just sat with my student who is 20 years old. He's in the transition program here. I'm calling him Derek for confidentiality. And I showed Derek the Slate and Stylus. Derek still has usable vision. He is learning Braille as a means to supplement his reading because his vision is decreasing. He has a rod cone dystrophy. So the Slate and Stylus may not be beneficial to him now, but I did want him to be aware of it and how it could help him in the future if he wanted to use it. So this is kind of how I began to show him how to use it. You would find where the slate opens, which is over here. I'm holding it so that this little bump is on my right hand side. And so I would kind of feel, I'd find the bump, I would open it up, and then I would take my piece of Braille paper and I would put it in, and I would move the Braille paper, I would move it over to the hinge on the left, on my left, and then I would scoot the paper down, until it gets to the top, and make sure that it's just really nice and straight right there. I had my intervener question how it would stay there, and at the time I didn't know until I watched the APH video and realized that it clicks in. So that kind of keeps the paper in place with the little pieces that we're able to click on the side. Now, when we read Braille, we read from left to right, but when we write with a Slate and Stylus, we start on the left. I showed my student Derek that I would take my stylus, and it's all about feel with the Slate and Stylus. I would feel that I was in the first cell, but I wouldn't press down, right? I'm in the first cell. Now, I would think about a letter that I would use cell 1 in, which is the very first place that my stylus touches. And that would be letter A, right? So I would press down, and that would make the letter A. Now I would go across to my next cell, and I could think about making maybe, I asked him what he thought would be easy to make, and he thought maybe like a K. K is a 1 and a 3. And so we would feel for that first cell, and we would press down, that's a 1, and then the 3 is at the bottom, right, on that first side, and we would press down, okay? So rather than think about this as like writing backwards, it's more about where your stylus touches first and what we do first when we're writing or reading Braille, which side we read first. So then I asked him, let's do another one. Now this is where we got a little tripped up because I wasn't thinking about the T correctly and I didn't use the correct numbers for the cells. I said that a T was dot 1, 2, 5, 6. In reality, that's an OU. So anyway, let me demonstrate what we did. So we were in cell 3 and we did a 1. We took our stylus, went down to the 2, and then we went across to the 5, and down to the 6 in the corner. When we took it out, because I was sort of frequently taking it out, which maybe I shouldn't have done, but I did want him to kind of see that even though it might have felt, incorrect, that he's actually correctly doing it. And then that's where we found out, oops, actually, I told you the wrong numbers, right? I told you the numbers for the cells in OU, the OU contraction, not for T. So, but we could see how we made a perfect OU and then go back and we made an A and a K. And so then following along that same way. That's all we did for the very first introduction to Slate and Stylus. But I will be posting a reflection, kind of just some thoughts on how it went and where we would go from there.